By 2007, import tuner racing was leaving the mainstream. Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift had marked a turning point for the franchise. Pimp My Ride came to an end after a 3-year run, and the major street racing series of games were changing course. Need for Speed Pro Street brought closed-circuit racing to the series, Midnight Club went quiet for a year, and the shift to next-gen consoles helped push racing sims like Forza Motorsport 2 and Gran Turismo 5 Prologue into the spotlight. And while everyone else was packing up, one game was still blasting club music and keeping the neon lights glowing. That game was Juiced 2 Hot Import Nights. My name is OneHip, and thanks for clicking on this video. I never played Juiced 2 before this video, but I can tell you that I had a better time with it than its predecessor. I played the PlayStation 2 version for this retrospective, which is a more stripped down version compared to the 7th gen console and PC releases, but I'll mention some of their exclusive features along the way. And if you haven't watched my Juiced 1 retrospective yet, I recommend watching that one first. Anyway, here's my retrospective of Juiced 2 Hot Import Nights. Let's go! Like its predecessor, Juiced 2 was developed by Warrington-based studio Juice Games. In 2006, they had been acquired by the game's publisher THQ. However, in early 2008, THQ decided to end the Juiced franchise for good, with Juiced 2 being the last of 3 games in the series. A year later, THQ cancelled Juice's upcoming project, an action flight sim called Stormbirds, and laid off about 30 people. In 2010, Juice Studios was renamed THQ Digital Studios Warrington, with a downsized headcount due to THQ's new focus on digital opportunities. And on June 13, 2012, THQ announced that Warrington was closed for good, ending a 9-year run. THQ themselves would close 6 months later. Juiced 2 Hot Import Nights was released on various dates between September and November 2007 on the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, PSP, and Nintendo DS. The game received mixed reviews upon release, receiving Metacritic scores ranging from 61 for the PC version all the way to 73 for the PSP. Praise was given to the extensive car customization options and for continuing the legacy of underground racing style games. Criticism was given to the game's more arcade-like controls and physics compared to the first game, as well as for the overly sexualized portrayal of the game's promotional models, which in this day and age may be a subject of debate for many. As the name suggests, Juiced 2 featured Hot Import Nights, an auto show company based in Orange County, California that are still operating today, which the game is loosely based on. Juiced 2 removes the calendar and respect systems from Juiced 1, this time focusing on a more party-like but corporate atmosphere, with sanctioned and sponsored events in place of illegal street racing featured in its predecessor. As I mentioned before, I played the PS2 version via emulation, and after utilizing lossless scaling to sharpen the image and increase the frame rate, the game played and looked alright for a game on this system. The game opens with a video of an intense one-on-one race which begins in the Coliseum. You then create or load your profile, and like the first game, autosave comes standard. However, you can turn this off in the options menu. Juiced 2 has a big event feel to it, with events set in numerous real-world locations, including Tokyo, London, Rome, the Bavarian Alps, and Sydney. Real tracks such as Fuji Speedway, Mount Panorama, and Nürburgring also feature later in the game's career mode. Each tongue-in-cheek event name reflects the area, such as Neon Nights for Tokyo and Buckingham Malice for London, and every course tracks your best lap and personal best times. In my opinion, the gameplay leans far more arcade than its predecessor, but it's much smoother overall, especially for lower spec cars. The game really opens up once you get into higher end vehicles with mods such as Maximum Nitrous. Like similar games at the time, Nitrous refills when performing maneuvers, such as power slides, overtaking, and cornering, among many others. On the PS2 version at least, you can see small animations of a rival's reaction that you've overtaken, spooked, or cut off on the top right of the screen. I did experience some rubber banding AI later in the campaign, where you'd have a decent lead, but then get smoked in the last 200 meters or so with your rival hitting the nitrous. But it only happened very occasionally to me. There's no damage mechanic in the PS2 version, but the next gen and PC versions offer this. Juiced 1's tailgating mechanic has evolved into the spook system, system. Drive up behind your opponent long enough to completely fill their spook gauge, and they'll lose control and wipe out. One new feature that I found interesting is the driver DNA system, a unique driver profiling mechanic that tracks your driving style and gambling habits, and it can evolve as you do different things. The DNA levels include sane, cool, and wild, which gives you a unique style. Your opponents have their unique DNA profile as well, so you can see what they're more susceptible of doing before and during a race, and strategize accordingly. It's a surprisingly forward-thinking system. Like the first game, you can gamble between yourself and another driver, and you only have to finish in a higher position than them to win the bet. You can initiate and receive bets, and there's a small financial penalty for backing out, which can be done via an optional QuickTime event. You can also counter-offer with higher bets to call their bluff, or offer a lower amount, which they'll either accept or counter again, but with a higher amount. If you restart an event, you lose your betting amount, and you can only bet with one driver for each competitive event. Like the calendar and respect systems I mentioned before, many event types from Juiced 1, such as sprint and point-to-point, have been removed, leaving circuit and drift to carry the weight. There's still variety within each of them though. Circuit events include Eliminator, taken from the PSP game of the same name, Last Man Standing, where you're eliminated if you hit any barrier, Pink Slip races, which are one-on-one shootouts with your chosen ride on the line, and Endurance, which is a long race consisting of 9 or more laps. For drift, events include Solo, Obliterator, an eliminator event where you must get a certain amount of drift points per lap as well as finish first, Endurance, where you score as many points as you can in one continuous drift, and Drift King, where you compete against up to 9 other races to get as many drift points as possible within a time limit. You lose points when you collide with a barrier, but there's no penalty for hitting other drivers. There are also circuit and drift championships and tournaments throughout the campaign, but you're not required to finish first in these to advance. Prototype events appear later, requiring specific performance mods, such as Extreme Nitrous, in order to qualify. You can also hire and fire crew members who can participate in crew events, but after having trouble with them in the previous game, I decided not to test out this feature. There are also event types within the performance tuning section that I'll get to later. Events are divided into leagues, ranging from Rookie, where you begin, all the way to Hot Import Night Elite. In order to be promoted to higher leagues, you must complete a certain number of league goals, such as winning or placing in an event, series, or tournament, and spooking or betting a minimum amount against a certain rival, with some goals unlocking bonus items, such as unique visual mods. You can complete as many goals as you like in an event. Once the minimum goals have been achieved, you enter a promotion event and advance to the next league if you win. You must also have an eligible car to enter a league division, either by upgrading an existing one or buying a higher performance model. I'll get into the car and parts economy in the next chapter. Rookie League and League 7 are very easy, but the difficulty ramps up from League 6. The game encourages you to upgrade or buy vehicles as you go, and each car has a league and performance upgrade threshold, again encouraging you to modify your fleet throughout the campaign. With lossless scaling enabled, I managed to get the PS2 version to a locked 60 FPS with FSR enabled, and for a PS2 game, it looked fantastic. Of course, the vanilla PS3 and 360 versions look cleaner with higher resolution textures and cinematic cutscenes, but I was really happy with how the game looked and played, considering it's nearly 20 years old at this point. Where you'll be spending most of your time in Juiced 2 is Career Mode, a globe-trotting tour of flashy events and fast cars that, even today, captures that final burst of tuner scene excess before realism took over. Korea is the heart of Juiced 2, where you buy, sell, upgrade, and race cars while climbing through league divisions. In the PS2 version at least, you complete your first race in Juiced 1 rival TK's Nissan Silvia S15 Spec R, after being introduced to some of your new rivals and the game's gambling and DNA systems. You earn your $10,000 cash prize and nominated betting amount, and you pick one of 13 starter cars, a very generous amount compared to other street racing racing games at the time. For my time with the game, I started with a Nissan 200SX, followed by a Ford Falcon XR8, a nod to my Aussie roots. I later added a Honda S2000, which I lost in a pink slip race, followed by a Nissan Skyline R33 GT25T, before going back down under with a Holden Monaro CV8, complete with an extreme nitrous prototype mod that turned it into an unstoppable beast. Each car has its own logbook with its value, condition, total wins, and number of owners, among other things. You earn cash prizes and any betting amounts you wager in events, and the prizes grow to massive amounts as you get promoted. I never had money problems in this game, and even when I lost the S2000 to my rival, I could easily afford a higher tier Skyline without missing a beat. The game's customization system remains one of the most robust of any 2000s racer. You can make visual upgrades for parts such as spoilers, side skirts, and hoods, as well as change the paint color and style, which unlocks style points. You can also add up to 50 decals per section of your vehicle, and the list is extremely comprehensive. Decal sets come in packs, which you unlock with style points, ranging from your standard ones like flame and tribal packs, region and element themed ones, and even packs based on other THQ titles at the time, including Juiced 1, Destroy All Humans 2, and Frontline Fuel of War. You can also save your decal design as a preset, which you can add to any other vehicles you buy or win in pink slip races, which is wonderful. And you can really make something that suits your style and personality. Adding manufacturer decals grants you a permanent 5% discount off their branded parts. Performance upgrades are divided into league tiers, with handling, power, and weight packages. You pick a brand for each component in a package, and to unlock higher grade packages within a league tier, you must win a standalone event. These events can include Perfect Lap, Speed Challenge, Lap Time Challenge, and Beat Car, where you receive a head start with the duration depending on the difference in performance between you and your rival's car. Drift events such as Endurance can also occur in these upgrade events. When you win, you unlock the higher category package for purchase and installation. I didn't see the point in doing an event just to upgrade performance parts, and I found that it really padded out time which I could have used to complete more league events. They could have easily stripped it down to just a purchase. I didn't make it all the way to HIN Elite in my playthrough, but I'll definitely go back to the game and try to advance further. It's a rewarding career mode, with a large variety of tracks and events, and the customization options, especially for visuals, are magnificent. As well as career, there is a multiplayer mode which I didn't try, and for the 360, PS3 and PC versions, there is online play. Arcade mode from Juiced 1 has been replaced with Driver DNA, letting you compete against in-game rivals, or real-world drift and circuit pros, each with distinct DNA profiles, with mostly wild traits reflecting their skill level. It's a nice immersive touch. There's also an options menu to adjust visuals, sound and controls, and toggle autosave. You can also view the game's credits from the main menu. The soundtrack isn't exactly iconic, but it has a few solid tracks that fit the high energy vibe that the game is going for. Thank you for still being here with me. I usually make retrospectives of games we grew up with, reviews of current titles, and video essays about classic studios and changes in the industry. If you'd like to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for your support. Now let's talk about Juiced 2's soundtrack. The game's soundtrack is pretty hit or miss compared to other races at the time, but there are a few great ones in there. For me, these include Go With The Flow by Queens of the Stone Age, Pendulum's remix of Voodoo People by The Prodigy, and Jump by TC and Distorted Minds. Each track keeps a high tempo and an energetic beat that fits the game's club atmosphere well. I didn't experience as much auto-stuttering from my emulator as much as I did in Juiced 1, but it did happen from time to time. Nonetheless, the sounds of tearing it up on the tarmac on the PS2 version were acceptable, and the enhanced versions polished them further, with sharper effects, cleaner mixing, and crowd noise that's missing in the one I played. Overall, Juiced 2 was a good game, and one that sadly didn't get any more follow-up games, due to THQ Warrington's closure. By the time Juiced 2 Hot Import Nights hit shelves in 2007, the world had already moved on. The underground scene that once ruled the early 2000s had lost its glow, and the racing genre was chasing realism and polish over attitude and culture. Juiced 2 tried to keep the party alive with flashing lights and club beats, but it arrived just as the crowd was heading home. The game didn't perform badly, but it also didn't stand out. Reviews were mixed, sales were modest, and THQ eventually pulled the plug on the franchise. Within a few years, Juice Games was gone, absorbed, and restructured, before THQ itself went under. It's a story as fast and fleeting as the scene it celebrated. For many years, Juiced 2 represented the last time a mainstream racer fully embraced import culture, with neon, customization, a soundtrack, and its personality. And in the years that followed, realistic physics and glossy presentation took the wheel, and that spirit of rebellious creativity faded into the rearview mirror. But recently, there's been a quiet resurgence, with indie developers and smaller studios tapping back into that early 2000s energy. The import scene is starting to find new life. Games like 2025's Tokyo Extreme Racer are proof that the love for late-night street runs and tuner culture never really went away. Rather, it just took a long pit stop. Juiced 2 Hot Import Nights might not have been a perfect game, but it captured a unique moment in racing history. A final burst of colour before the lights went out, and for that, it deserves to be remembered. Thanks for watching. Did you play Juiced 2? What are your memories of the game? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on upcoming content. Be sure to watch my Juiced 1 retrospective, as well as videos on other 2000s races in the Need for Speed and Burnout franchises. I also have retrospectives on various extreme sports titles if you're into those as well. Thank you to my current channel members for supporting me further. There are links to this and my Ko-fi donation page in the video description if you wish to be part of the end credits of future videos. My name is OneHip, and you have a good one. Bye!